right, welcome back to your favorite podcast. This is Difficult Podcasters. I am Ronnie. Kelly, how are you, first of all?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Why don't you do the introduction of what this is going to be, our year in review 2022, but introduce our three-time special guest. This is friend of the show status now.
Yes, this is our relationship guru, an expert on all things love. This is Miss Dorinda.
Hi guys, I'm so excited for this. It's gonna be fun.
We love having you on the show. It's going to be so fun. You can balance us out in such a good way.
We have too much history. We need Dorinda. May I note you two beautiful ladies. First of all, I'm so thrilled to be with Kelly and Dorinda on our year in review. But I do have to note, we do our year in reviews. This is our second annual. We'll do it every year. And our panel basically will stay the same. However, Jordan, DJ Shakee, who Kelly and I worked with back in 2002, he will not be joining us because he just had a baby.
Yes, he's a new dad. So congratulations, Jordan. We miss you, but we are so happy for you and your new family. So congratulations.
And even so, I almost made him do the show anyway. I was telling Dorinda, I got no sense, no couth. But we're really happy. So the three of us are going to do pop culture, takes throughout the year of 2022. How do both of you feel about the year just in general? I've got thoughts, but go ahead.
I mean, I think it was just a crazy year. I feel like it was just so much mess. Like, I just feel like it's just a messy year. I don't know. Dorinda, what do you think?
This is, I am going to take from Seinfeld. I'm showing my age here when we talk about Seinfeld, but bizarro is the word. We're living in a bizarro world, and maybe they're right about that whole thing with the CERN when they turned it back on. We've skipped a whole different timeline altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible how, I don't know, like how much more whiny I feel the world is, and just people acting on impulse, and it's just been such a hot mess. I feel like it's like a collective Real Housewives episode of the Real Housewives of the USA.
And I'm the viewer of Housewives, and I will say it's starting to become where the Housewives stunts, and they would do stunts, the Housewives cast members. It's starting to become like everyday people are now getting in that vibe, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's just insane.
I feel like we've given too many people a voice.
Yeah, well, now everyone has one.
Everyone has
a real platform and their own soapbox. Everybody's got one. I mean, we do. Here we are.
Yeah. Exactly.
But we'll do it good. We're going to do it good. We have a plan. This is the second annual. Last year was such a great time. We talked about Mariah Carey, J-Lo last year. We talked about Sex and the City's reboot. It's what's it called? And just like that. So we just kind of bring up stuff that like matter to us or whatever. Some of the stuff is not like our favorite topics, but we do have to kind of go over some of the things, but we're not going to get in the weeds of it just because, sometimes people, again, it's the stunts. I don't want to celebrate that type of thing. And there's some serious topics. We'll make this a shorter episode. We'll try. Kelly, why don't you start us off with some pop culture? One of the stories you wanted to talk about.
I mean, there was so much that happened just in pop culture in general and the entertainment space. I mean, we had so much drama all over. I mean, there was the Will Smith Oscar slap. There was, the Don't Worry, Darling movie drama. You've got, so much like Elon Musk taking over Twitter. There's just so many things. But one of the things I really want to talk about is just kind of like cancel culture in general. Like that's been a new thing that's just really hitting hard over last year, and it's really gained a lot more traction this year. And it's just so interesting how you really can't say anything or do anything anymore. I mean, what do you guys feel about that? I mean, what do you think?
I think that you have to have a little bit of we come from radio. Well, we've come from that world. So I've always been very aware, I started radio in 2002. So I've been very aware of, the etiquette that is required to be compelling, even to be shock jock style, but also know how to move in the industry. And now we're at a kind of like the wild, wild west while everyone's doing everything. And then they want to whine when they say something so outlandish. So while I don't love it being for everything, and I certainly don't love it for just being like this person's accused for this, and suddenly they get ripped from their TV show without any type of fact checking, and it's just to appease the Twitter crowd. I still feel like I guess I'm sort of in the middle. I am twerking on the fence. I'm right in the middle because I I have not really utilized anything where I've like tried to punch in that way. I've been very good with my thoughts. I'm real sassy when I need to be, but I've never went so far. And there's another thing too. Sometimes people who complain about it, they constantly push and push and push and push and nudge to become virally famous and having a successful career. Listen, I did better when this industry wasn't online, and one has to wonder, wait, you were on TV when the industry was the other way, you were on radio when the industry was the other way, why aren't you popping now? Because I don't do dumb shit online. And so on one hand, I don't like cancel culture, but on another hand, you have to check the person that we're talking about and see that they have just been trying to put fire on the flame, fire to fuel the flames. And to that person, I don't have as much sympathy, but it's gone out of control. I didn't think I was going to be this passionate about it, but it has got out of control, and it's become one of the things that the pendulum, unfortunately, is going to swing so far. Like cancel culture is going to be a joke in about 3 minutes because you're doing it to like nuns now. Like it's just everyone's
I can't wait for cancel culture to be gone.
Everyone's getting it that it's becoming not serious. Like it should have been a thing. Harvey Weinstein, he's got some outlandish stuff. He deserves to be, up those were when cancel culture made sense. But now you're doing things for, sorry, my grandma doesn't deserve cancel culture, and people are kind of doing that. Yeah.
It's gone way out of control for sure. What do you think, Dorinda?
Oh, I mean, like cancel culture has become a thing. You cancel someone because they used verbiage that maybe because they're older, that verbiage was okay. And then they're trying to figure out things, but then you cancel them and they didn't get a chance to learn. I mean, I think cancel culture should be about learning, not about actually canceling them outright.
I agree with that.
And
it should be a learning experience for sure.
It's
also, we're in this day and age where you're guilty until proven innocent. It's so backwards. And it really makes you think about, what does that mean? I mean, if you come out and say something or do something that gets misconstrued, or maybe it was just a mistake or just an accident, there is no coming to the plate and taking responsibility and saying, I'm sorry, because you don't even get that chance. You're done. Like it's over.
Yeah.
And there's just no real balance because people have just gone mad, I think.
So we could move into some topics that are like more not fun, but just like other stuff that went on. What is your first one, Dorinda?
Well, I wanted to talk about, I do relationships and all that stuff. So I did want to talk about let me look up my notes. I even did notes this time.
Nice. Look at you all prepared.
But like celebrity couplings of 2022. And I would love to hear what you guys think. Well, we're going to talk about Millie Bobby Brown. Now she's old. I mean, she's old enough to date. I think she's 21 or something like that now.
She has grown up so beautifully.
Yeah, she really has. And that was, once again, that's another one. She's in the entertainment industry. She's going to be around older people. And remember when she and Drake, who I love him from Canadian TV, but I do also have issues with him, but they were friends. And I really do think they were friends, and people had such an issue with that, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to cancel Drake. But anyway, Millie Bobby Brown is dating John Bon Jovi's son, Jake.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. So, and and he is good looking. He's a toss up between his mom and John.
Dad was such a hottie back in the day. I mean, he still is. He's such a nice looking older man. Yeah.
Yeah, he really has like matured himself into that. And then we have also like some of these people. I am not a huge I love Lana Del Rey. I know she might be a little askew from like popular culture, but I love her, and I love that she's with this guy Jack, who is like a firefighter.
Oh, nice.
Like he doesn't work in the entertainment industry. He's in the the public sector. Still good money, but like the fact is, as we did this, my hinge just popped up. But you've matched with so and so. But
I'm like, Lana, give the girl a hookup. Where's my firefighter?
exactly. I want the firefighter. But there's so many people here that we can go into a whole thing. But we also have Jack Antonoff, who I love from the Bleachers, and Margaret Qualley, who's amazing, and she's showing up everywhere. From Maid to that great commercial she did for, what was it? It was for a brand. It was like for a fashion line. And it's also, her mother is Addie McDowell.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then I'm going to bring up one more person, Elliot Page.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And Mae Martin. I wanted to bring that. Mae Martin, who's on the flight attendant.
Yes.
And I just love it. I love it. And I'm going to say one quick thing about that and how the Umbrella Academy how they really did respect to Elliot Page and doing whole change. It was really amazing to watch. I actually teared up watching it because they didn't do a pomp and circumstance. They didn't do this whole thing, but they did it in such a way that was so respectful.
That's great. I like that there's more care and awareness taken in that. The more inclusivity we get, right? Because that's what I like seeing so much more of.
That was a lot of good loving Dorinda brought to the table.
I know.
But she seems to be frozen now.
She seems to be frozen.
Which for a while I thought she was giving me a look. I was like, that is a scowl. I haven't even started talking shit yet.
But as we're talking about relationships, she was bringing up, hopefully we get her back here in a second. But also we got to talk about like the myth, the legend that is Pete Davidson. I mean, like he has just certainly blown up for his relationships and all of that. And I think that poor Pete has gotten bullied so much because he doesn't seem to be the quintessential idea of what people may think is attractive. And it's just terrible. I mean, Pete's got game and he's got charisma and there's just something about him that is so endearing and so nice. I've like hung out with him a couple of times and I mean, he just kind of like, he's just like a cool dude to want to be around and he's funny.
Yeah.
He, obviously, he wouldn't have been on SNL if he wasn't, but just like an everyday guy. And I think that's what people get drawn to. But that can go into Dorinda because I know she had some
she's drawn to Pete Davidson. Yes, she is. No, I'm just joking. I don't know.
Let me tell you, I mean, okay, I'm a sucker. Like my number one thing for relationships is humor. Because my mama taught me this, and it is true. My mama taught me this, and my mom has said this too. My mom said something else, though, on top of that. But my mama said, find someone who makes you laugh. Because no matter how hard it gets, it will never be that hard. And she's right. Good. They had 10 kids, and and they lived like that. When it comes to Pete Davidson, I see how it is with him. I see that he's funny. I feel like he's respectful in his own way towards women. I think he has his own things that we won't get into, his own mental health issues. He talks publicly about them though. But I feel like even when you watched him on the couple of times he was on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you could see how he was attentive to her. And I feel like he's with all the women he's with. And he also walks around with BDE. So he's funny and he has BDE and he looks like he's respectful.
Tall. I mean, he's so tall. That in itself is like so attractive. Like he's just tall.
Oh, but he is really tall. I was on a plane with him, sat next to him on a plane. He's one of those people that when you talk to him, he like looks at you in your face when he's talking to you. And I think that in itself is also very attractive. It's such an attractive trait. So listen to this, people. Anyone, when you talk to someone, actually looking them in their eyes
and focusing on what they're saying, no matter what I mean, I walked up to him and just like handed him a drink or something. And he's just like, oh, thank you. But like, connected and like does that. And I feel like it's just like, oh, well, damn. Hi.
Exactly.
Using their name is also really good too.
Yes.
Like when you Kellie, that little
I'm so
extra
bad
attention to
about that.
detail
Yeah.
is
But yeah,
a connection. And that's the thing. Why do people make such a big deal of like trying to define what it is? They always make the joke, oh, he's got to have a huge dick. And it's like, first of all, a huge dick ain't gonna keep you. Like, that's not enough. You need personality and charisma and all these things. And I think he has that humor. And also what you're really saying is you think he's not attractive. Why is he getting with all these pretty girls? Which is a little bit of a judgment.
But it also says more about them than it does about him, because it's just like, that's probably why you're not getting those type of that you're not getting.
And that's the thing. You're resorting your lack of like what you don't like about yourself as why you don't deserve. And the main story is, whatever reason, Pete feels like I deserve. It could be the 11-inch dick, maybe, or the humor. And that's what we got to do. I was just saying this to somebody recently, how like, even if I don't like my finances, even if I don't like, where my career is going, or even, putting on, the freshman 15 or whatever it is, whatever, gaining weight. It's like, you still got to be like, no, I'm amazing at all times. Like, that is a personal choice. And it will, I guess Dorinda knows more than anybody with the relationships and stuff, it will spill out. And I always get really slap on the wrist to myself when I get very like down and hard on myself for all the things that I'm not achieving. And it's like, no, you walk in that room and you could bag any one of them, if you think that, if you feel that.
But it's also, you think about all the things that he has spoken about with his mental health and, all of these things. And my first encounter with him when I was first around him the first time, we were at a party and he happens to be wearing like a hat of the of the alcohol sponsor of the party, and he just played into it. And he walks in and he's like, oh, great. Now it looks like I work here. And we like started laughing, but then he goes and gets a tray full of drinks and starts handing them out. Like, that's who he is. He just leaned into it and had so much fun with it. And like, that shows like his personality. He just made a joke out of it and it just like ended up being funny. And it was, it just shows
Kellie,
who he is.
Would you take him to the would he be ever able to put his shoes under your bed anytime? Was he?
Oh my God, anytime. Give me a call. Let's hang out.
And he has something that I wish men would like key in besides the humor. Mm-hmm. And Kellie, you said it right there when you said, "Oh, now it looks like I work here," right?
Yeah.
Self-deprecation.
Yeah.
And people like that because he's aware of himself. That's the other.
Yes, complete self-awareness for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
and also
Christian Walker and I agree on one thing, or actually there was two. I still can't believe it. Once again,
I can't believe it either.
But he said the same thing about Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson. Oh my God, Menno brain. But Pete Davidson, and it's true.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too is I hate this part of life, but your value goes up when other people are interested in you. Suddenly everyone, it's that theory of like, you're single and you don't do well dating, but then you get with somebody, then other people are like suddenly into you. So it certainly doesn't hurt him that he's been with Ariana, he's been with Kim Kardashian. Now it's like everyone wants the allure that is Pete Davidson.
Now it's what, Emily Ratajkowski? Yeah.
Yes.
They're hanging out.
That would be a good drinking game. Deciding in what going into the new year, who do you think is a odd or practical choice for him to be with? And then you have to do the drinking game of all the people, all the conquests that he had over the years.
But I mean, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he's just out living life and he's living his best life. So,
it'll be interesting because he's left the show. He's left SNL. So now he's sort of, going to be a movie star or whatnot. But what a career
he's already been in so many before even leaving SNL. And then he had like that new one that he did with Kaylee. I can never say her last name.
I watched that. Yeah.
It was such an interesting movie and it was not at all what I expected it to be. It wasn't at all. But all right, what's next on the platform? What do you got, Ronnie?
Well, I was just gonna like more ask Dorinda relationship wise, like how this goes. This is me stepping out of my comfort zone because I don't watch the sports, but it is a relationship thing, and I just was gonna pose the question. So another big story was the whole like Giselle and Tom Brady, breaking up. And the first thing I thought was like, is this because, you know, like what is the because? I want to know what is the reason. But beyond that, did she do this thing where she's, put her career on the side for him to succeed all those years, and then the moment he retires, but then not retires, was that the final straw? And it also just made me think of like relationships in general, how people have to do that and put that boundary up, because
didn't he retire twice?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
This is his third time, like his second or third time retiring, and so she accepted it the first time. Second time, what he wanted to do is win one more Super Bowl. Well, he did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be done. Yeah, I don't know, because he's having one of the worst years he's ever had. That's
and you don't want to go out you want to go out as a winner, really.
That's what he should have done. Peyton Manning did that. He went out as a winner, and this just is ridiculous to me, because you just told your wife, who is like the biggest supermodel of all time, and by the way, makes more money than him. Let's just put that out there. I'm just going to put that out there.
Ching, ching.
That, my career is worth more than you asking me, and now it's time for the second part of our life. It's time for you to be with me and the kids. And you're like, nah, I think I'm going to give this another shot.
Which worries me, that like, is he never satisfied? Over on the Housewives of Miami, Martina Navratilova is dating Julia, and Julia's a cast member, boring cast member, but nonetheless a cast member. And Julia is saying, oh, there's a empty nest type syndrome, because now that Julia's kids are gone off to college, like almost like her and Martina isn't enough. And I sometimes also wonder, is that what Giselle had to deal with, in terms of her being frustrated and finally going for the divorce? Like, is he doing this thing where he's retiring and not retiring, where he's not feeling like his home life is enough? Because that to me would be a really big challenge.
It's his ego, plain simple ego. I think, and people can argue that with me, but his ego this is who he is, and his life has always been football. Let's be honest. And I do think that it's the fear of leaving something that you were Superman in, right? So he's going to leave something. He's leaving something where he was Superman. He is now going to go home and be with his family, and afraid that people are going to forget about who he is. All of that is rooted in ego.
I think it's a big insecurity too, because it's like, what is he going to do?
Yeah.
What he's only good, maybe in his mind, maybe he's only good at one thing. So if this one thing's over, then what is he good for?
But that's what I'm saying. As the spouse, how do you absorb that? Like I said, the Martina to Julia in that particular relationship, and the Giselle to Tom in this relationship. Like, imagine you're with somebody, you sacrificed all of this time, and now, like, when it's time for us to be together, I'm not good enough for you, even though, like Dorinda said, it's an ego thing. I remember years ago when Oprah was talking to Jay Leno, and this was after Jay Leno retiring and not retiring also. Oprah had said, I have to make reality that I'm not going to have this thing that makes me feel so good. I'm going to have to make a reality that I can't have those doors swinging open, people yelling my name. And I also have to admit how much I do love it. So this is something that's like a bigger deal. However, to see it with the football player who should have went out so high on top, now is going through a divorce. I mean, if your life was troubling then, buddy, you're gonna let Giselle go. I mean,
and the thing that's so crazy is I think it doesn't even have anything to. The sad part about it is I don't even think he's even thinking about it that way. He's not thinking about her at all. No. It's completely selfish, ego-driven, and one-sided. He's only worried about himself, his insecurities, and how it's going to affect him, not his family, not his wife. And that's the saddest part about it to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, think about all that. Let's go back to the beginning of their relationship. And I'm going to throw that out there. He had gotten someone else pregnant.
Right. All that drama with Bridget Monahan.
And that was a little murky. I think they had just broken up, and then she got pregnant. I don't think it was as, salacious as we're trying to make it here. But the fact is, he had gotten someone else pregnant. Mm-hmm. And when they got together. So honestly, a lot of women be like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Especially someone like her. She could be like, no, I'm good. I'm out. But she didn't. And, I've read articles on how like the three of them, especially with their son Jack, I think his name is. Excuse me,
so.
I think it's Jack, but how they've raised him, the three of them raised him, and how, you know, the two women speak very highly of each other when it comes to child rearing and everything like that. But she took on a lot there. Let's be honest. She took
because
on
it's
a
probably
lot.
she listened to a bunch of his bullshit then, and she was still doing it for a while,
Yeah.
and now she just had enough.
Yeah. And I get it.
Yeah, which I mean, she's been through a lot. She's been with him through all of that. And if it really is that he's just simply doesn't care how it affects her enough to be there for her, it's so sad. And what a waste.
Yeah, I mean, we can even go into like the rumor, because I don't want to say that this is real, but the rumor of her like doing spells for him and stuff.
Oh yeah, I heard
Yes,
about that.
and
Yes.
she's not doing any spells, and now look at his career.
Now this is real life, Tom. This is real life.
It's gonna get worse before it gets better in Tom's life, I guess. But yeah, everyone has to be accountable for what they want and how they're gonna treat their spouse, and you know, you got to be considerate of the feelings too. This is why I'm single and I don't got to worry about nobody but myself.
Ronnie,
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Oh, you think I should be in love and lust and all that stuff? Oh, maybe.
Well,
I'm a desire. I'm a catch. I am a catch.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
You're a catch. You are lovable. You give love. So why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah. What that mouth do? Yes, all of it, Dorinda. Why does Dorinda freeze on her? If you're listening to us audibly, Dorinda keeps freezing in like Ronnie judgment.
Hilarious. Well, speaking of love and all that love, we have to talk about the Bennifer wedding that happened 20 years later. I'm so happy for them. Like, I genuinely love it. I mean, people are still shitting all over it, but I really like it. I mean, I think it's just amazing that they were able to come back together, you know, despite everything that they went through with other people and within themselves and all of that, and just kind of figure it out, you know? It's just when you look back at those old 2003 interviews, you can see how much they were in love with each other. And I think just, you know, fame and the world and all of that kind of got in the way. And maybe they got in their own way. I don't know. I like it. What is that? Ronnie, what is all that about?
What's that
I
about?
gotta take to my smoothie and
What is that? What is that? Come on.
Well,
give it
it's okay. First and foremost, you should know, Kelly, you know, because we do a show all the time. And I think anyone who listens to me, I'm much more of a Mark Anthony endgame type of guy. Mark Anthony being the GOAT. Mark Anthony.
You guys know how I feel about that. Hell to the no.
No, Kelly, you must have fell and bumped your head again, because Mark Anthony, he will drive a certain energy inside of you that's like,
no.
It's like, you know, the sex appeal with Mark Anthony. Oh,
no.
Love it.
And again, Ronnie doesn't like Elf, so who listens to him?
I don't like the movie Elf. I do not like it. It's not funny. There's no humor. I feel bad for the time that James Caan and Mary Steenburgen had to be on the set because it was not funny. Anyways, I stick to what I believe.
You serious? Like,
he's dead serious.
Like, oh my god,
he's dead serious. Oh, that was a whole other thing. That was a whole other other podcast.
Dinklage, like, call me Elf one more time. I be like attacked. Oh my god.
Well, you're saying everything else is funny. Sure, everyone else is funny.
Yeah.
I had said, you know, we made this sentence a bit ago. We were talking about they must so and so must have a lot of yes people around them. Is like nobody directing Will Ferrell. Like, it was not a funny performance. It was no good. Somebody needed to get in there and say, "Ooh, you can't rest on your laurels because this is not funny, buddy." Oh, buddy's his name.
Well, you're just a cotton-headed ninny muggins. So go on.
See, nothing. Anyways,
Son of a nutcracker, Ronnie. Son of a nutcracker.
Y'all know it's not funny. You could have it if it makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Oh, Christmas spirit, holiday spirit. Yeah, but it is not funny.
About. He's like all about Mark Anthony. No.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Off Elf. Get back to Mark Anthony. So the J-Lo Ben Affleck thing, I do like them. They are great together. But you should just know that I'm much more endgame. Always going to be Mark Anthony. I like the Ben Affleck thing. If it comes to a situation, as a huge J-Lo fan that I am, but you always got to like squint a little bit and say, is this more of a great opportunity, you know, where she utilizes, you know, the press that comes along with it? Again, J-Lo fan, so I'm not hating. But it was like, oh, the movie Marry Me was coming out. That would have been a great branding opportunity to have Ben by your side. People love the nostalgia. I don't know how many stupid moronic memes that were on Instagram, like, oh, this makes me feel like it's 2004. Grow up. It's not 2004. Grow up. That's number one. Now, if you are sorry, Dorinda, go ahead, Dorinda.
I mean, we also know they should never do a movie together, right? Again,
Right.
like we don't need to relive that 2005 experience. Like we
No,
don't
yeah,
need to do
you're
that.
and they're not gonna
marriage
do that. Are they
I
gonna do
hope
that?
not, because you said the marry me thing, it would have been a great branding thing. And I was like,
Well,
yeah, they don't ever need to do another movie. Geely was awful.
But
no,
I mean,
well,
but
in terms
also
of
to that though, she could have been marrying anybody, and it would have been a good branding. Getting
Yeah.
back together with him wasn't necessarily a good career choice if you're thinking about it in that aspect.
Yeah.
Considering his addiction issues, his whole divorce bullshit, and just kind of like his personal drama that was going on within himself. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't really think that that would have been like people saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, here's a good look," because they were probably like, "Fuck, are you serious? Now we got to figure out how to clean up that shit show." Like
Yeah,
as a
but people-
publicist, I would have been like, "Really?
No.
Let me figure out how we're gonna put that in the world. Hold on."
Well, and then I'm with you. I didn't really love it. I mean, like, I'm a J-Lo fan, but I didn't love it as the choice. I was like, oh, first of all, his back tattoo. What's to
No,
love?
But I'm saying from a business perspective, if
Yeah.
you're thinking that way, I would have been like, no. But from a love perspective, I'm all for it, because it's like you think about who you were 20 years ago versus who you are now. And to be able to grow and evolve and think about your life and who you want in it, I think that says a lot about their feelings for one another.
Time out. Because we have learned there's two different kinds of people. Kelly, who loves to revisit everything, Dorinda. She wants to revisit. She goes through old letters. She wants to like be back in her memories of her adolescence. And she wants to call ex-boyfriends to say, what did I do? Where did I play a part in the breakup? Like Kelly wants to still be there.
Brave.
Me, I don't want any of it. I want to go. I want 2004 to be a great memory. I'm very nostalgic. I won't say that I'm not, but I want to go. So we're in two different mindsets on that.
But I want to grow and evolve and actually figure out how to be the best version of myself that I can be, because when you go back and look at things, you realize that you were looking at a situation while you were in it from such a different perspective. When you can step out of it and go back and be like, fuck, maybe that was my fault. Maybe I wasn't as innocent in that situation as I thought I was. Or maybe I took too much of that blame and I shouldn't have. There's so many ways you can go back and look at it that helps kind of like cultivate the person that you're going to ultimately be by the time your time is done. At least that's the way I see it. I don't know.
Aren't we glad we have a mature Kelly and me who's like, phooey, let's get through it.
We need to bring that word back, by the way. Phooey.
Yes.
Phooey.
Oh, phooey.
I want no parts.
But
I like that that's the way it seems, is that they were able to kind of go through their shit and then figure out that they still really loved each other. And I love that.
At the end of the day, yes. At the end of the day, I love too. And if they do love each other and it is what works for her, then that's great. But it is the convenience of her new album. One of the first things I thought of is not just that whole like 2004 stupid meme thing. Oh, great, it's 2004. I more thought of like, oh, well, real J-Lo fans loved the era of This Was Me Then, the album. So now all of a sudden she has a new album coming out, another Dear Ben type, like another version of it. So, it is the convenience. I wouldn't say it's convenience. It's what's going on in her current life. And she's just utilizing that as her art. But again, I'm with it because I love Jenny Lowe. I like, she's my queen. Outside of Janet and Diana. Well, I guess I got a lot of queens, but I love Jenny. And if this makes her happy, then yes. And the other thing that I argue about usually is when people say, she's got to find herself. She's always just like jumping into a relationship. On one hand, you should probably take some time to be single before you jump into the next relationship. But on the other, how many times, and Dorinda could even attest to this when she's like uplifting me, like, Ronnie, get out there, go swipe right, swipe left, like, take a chance at love. I feel like we get so comfortable being in our insecurities or whatever the case that we don't really try. If you want to be a great basketball player, you got to go practice every day. Yeah. You want to be in love, you got to practice every day. You think that's going to just jump in your lap? And so my point on this whole thing is that with J-Lo, she doesn't sit and sulk and say, wow, another one, much like we saw in that movie, Marry Me, Kelly, where the character Kat felt really sad.
It was so brave of her to play that character that talked so much about what was so close to her real life. And I think that's why it hit me in a different way than just watching a regular movie, because I felt like that character was just kind of parallel to her. And I really thought that was such a brave thing to do for her, just to kind of step into it, because it's like when she's watching all the talk shows make fun of her and she's crying to her manager in the movie and she's like, what's wrong with me, basically. And it's just, you got to think like at all the points in her life, she really did that. And it just kind of like broke my heart about it. But I love that she was still like, you know what? I still want to be in love. I still want to do these things. And you know what? Screw the world and they can think what they want. This is what I want for myself. And I'm glad that she does that, because she's a badass in so many other ways. I mean, think what you want about, whether like her quality of talent, or if you think she's a good whatever, she's a fantastic performer and no one can deny that. And if you do, you're just a fucking hater, and that's just all there is to it.
Well, first of all, I love the song "Still" by J-Lo too. And that's the key, and that's what I get in little, not arguments, but like conversations with, when people will always say, oh, she's got to be alone for a little. I'm saying she lives a much different life than the rest of us. Her situation and her scenario moves much faster than the normal 9-to-5er. I give her a lot of credit for saying, even if I'm going to mess up in it and I'm going to step in it and it's not the right choice, I'm going to try love again and again. My point of view, and I would love to hear Dorinda.
I'm not brave enough to do that. Like I'm not brave enough to do that. So I definitely give her props for it, for sure.
We do that as people within our friend groups too. We see somebody and they're back with such and such, and we're so judgmental, but then it's like, it's safe to be single. It's safe to do the comfortable things, and J-Lo doesn't do the comfortable things. So that's what I like about it. I just make the joke that Mark Anthony, I feel like J-Lo's, like, what really makes her happy is Mark. So I hope that one day that could be endgame. But for now, I'm going to take the bad tattoo Boston guy, Ben Affleck, and if it makes J-Lo happy, it makes me happy. That's all I got. Dorinda, what do you think?
Well, I always thought it was Ben. I never once I think that her and Mark Anthony had a good thing. Yeah, they had a good thing, but I always thought it was Ben. Always. I never once ever. I thought every relationship she got in after Ben was trying to be able to replace the love she had for him. So I'm not surprised that they got back together. I'm not surprised they got married twice, right? They did 2 marriages. But I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I loved her Vegas dress. I loved her Vegas dress better than her dress on the in the house in South Carolina, right? So I like the Vegas wedding better because they just looked so happy.
Yeah,
like it was the epitome of happiness for her. And so I always thought that they would be in game in a way, because I always thought she was chasing what she had with him.
That's what I'm saying. When you look at those old interviews, like you can tell just how in love she was.
Yeah.
And it just was so sad that I think like her success ruined it. And it's kind of one of those things that I think a lot of women kind of, and I don't know, you can tell me, Dorinda, if you think I'm like way off here, but I think a lot of busy, successful women in whatever industry that they're in, they kind of get not really in trouble, but they get punished for being successful sometimes in relationships, because guys can't handle it, or they don't want to. They want you there when they want you there. And when you're too busy and can't be there, then, they move on to someone that can be. And it's I feel like that's kind of what happened to them in the beginning, in that first time around, because she just blew up into this massive, massive star. And that's when paparazzi was really kind of getting into full swing, and it was just too much.
I think a lot to what you're saying of why Ben would be a good choice, because again, I'm not saying Ben's a bad choice. I was just making sure, for the J-Lo lovers out there who also think what I think with Mark. What made Ben maybe the right choice is what Dorinda just said, that he was always the one that she wanted to find something similar. So every relationship going forward was a version of Ben. Like she was trying to find that. And then to it not being even about Ben, because there's nothing wrong with him per se. The one good thing about Ben, I'm thinking if I'm J-Lo, is that might have been the last time my life was a bit normal. After that time in her life, she became the superstar. Superstar's never going to live the life that the rest of us live. So it might have been, imagine you're a celebrity and your life goes to all of these different places and they're hard. You love it, tons of money, but it's hard to live that life. Ben was comfort, I think. I think that's why she did it. So again, if she's happy, I'm happy. But if she ever says, you know what, hey public, it's back to Mark, I will tell you two, told you so.
No.
No.
These girls ain't feeling it.
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
I would like to think this is it for her.
I hope it is.
I feel like it is, to be honest with you. I know, and I might eat my words in another year or two, but I do feel like she's been searching for her home, you know, and I feel like this is her home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Familial. Anyone have any last picks or questions, comments rather, on J-Lo Ben, or can we go to the next thing?
We can go to the next thing.
Okay. J-Lo still queen. Kiss my ass if you don't like my comments. But really,
I don't know how much of a queen she's going to be after that tribute, though.
Okay, before you go, let's do something real quick. We just wanted, here, see, this is a very fair podcast. We will give you love, but we'll also tear you down. No, I'm joking. Real quick, Kelly, if you could hook this up for us. I just wanted to let you know that it's exciting. Dorinda's our day one in terms of guest. She's been our 3-time guest, but we also have a day one in terms of sponsor. So take it away, Kelly. Just let us know. Veridian Row never has that creativity that goes out of style.
That's right. Veridian Row is such a cute small business. They have a lot of fun graphic t-shirts and new vintage and resale stuff. They also have like handmade tiles and different art and all that. It's such a really fun, creative space. And the movie quote shirts, I think, are my favorites. There's a lot of good one-liners. And I know they have some from Elf, so I know what I'll be getting you for Christmas, Ronnie. So if you want to go check out VeridianRow.com, you can see all the fun stuff they have.
No. It's not funny.
I know him.
It's not funny. You're allured in the holiday spirit, and I get you. But you should watch Scrooge. Now that's a funny movie. So real quick, before we move into what Dorinda was alluding, I was telling you earlier that we have usually it's 4 people for our second annual year in review. This is for 2022, and Jordan, DJ Shakee, who Kelly and I have known since literally 2003 or so. He had his first baby. So while he's not on the show with us, he did send in a clip of stuff that got him talking in as far as year in review. So let's take a look at that clip. DJ Shakee, take it away.
Hello, what up, everybody? Ronnie, Kelly, Dorinda. Sorry I couldn't be there to record with you, but figured I'd just send this over just so I could shoot out a couple of some memorable things from my 2022 perspective. I guess we'll start backwards and with the sad news first. Rest in peace, Twitch. That one hit a little hard, you know. He's from the dance scene, and outside of like his TV appearances and Ellen DeGeneres and all that. Again, he's from the street dance world. So, like, it's where I've come from. And obviously because of that, we have tons of mutual friends. And my personal interaction with them has never been much more than like, hey, nice to meet you, good to see you. But you could tell it was genuine just from that. So, like, I definitely feel for a lot of my friends who were really close to him. And, of course, his family. Rest in peace, Twitch. Love and prayers to his family and his kids. The next thing that stands out to me is probably not something that lead to much conversation to y'all over there, but my cousin got me back into watching wrestling, the WWE wrestling. And I don't know all the characters right now, but my favorite storyline has to do with the Bloodline. The Bloodline is Roman Reigns and the Usos and their younger brother, Solo Sikoa. So the Usos and Solo Sikoa, their father, I believe, is Rikishi. And they're part of the I'm not even sure how you say it, but they're like legendary wrestling family. Roman Reigns is part of that too. Also, The Rock, Rikishi, who their father is. They have a long line of like wrestling history. So yes, WWE wrestling is back on my radar as of late. And I've been watching, not religiously, but semi-religiously. You know, I catch a lot of the clips and a couple episodes here and there. Let's see. I'm going to try to move through them quick just so I don't bore you guys because there's no conversation happening. The Black Panther film, Wakanda Forever. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. But that movie was definitely like an excellent tribute to Chadwick Boseman. And it introduces a new character from the comics. But a lot of comic book nerds are hating on it because they basically changed the character to be from Atlantis to they're like Aztecs or Mayans now. So people are not a fan of Namor, but I loved him. I thought he was great. Definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it, and especially if you're a Marvel fan. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. It's out in theaters. Sounds like a plug. So that's great. Janet Jackson documentary was at the beginning of the year. Recently rewatched it. Kind of just played it in the background, like while just kind of getting stuff done around the house. So we watched it again. And what else? Well, the most standout things to me for this year were not necessarily pop related. Obviously, the beginning of the year, we got engaged, and we wrapped up the year with the most standout thing of the year. There he is. That's Julian. So, that's why I'm going to be there with you guys. I guess back to you guys in the studio. if we call it that in like these homemade podcast things. But back to y'all, and Happy New Year if I don't talk to y'all before that. Right on time, because he's starting to... Oh, he's chilling. Happy New Year.
All right, there you go. The new proud papa there, giving us a little pop culture year in review. We'll get him on the next year's episode as usual, because I think this is a fun thing that we do every year.
I love it.
Dorinda, you'll come back for next year?
Of course.
Good.
I love doing this. It's like it's like old home week, actually.
We can't do it without you. Yeah, we can't do it without you. So what topic do we want to get into? Do you want to kind of talk about something you heard in the pop culture world, Dorinda, that you're going to be a bit critical on? I'm doing some stuff with one of the radio stations, so we've already talked about this topic. So I know that I got to dig really deep on this one. Go ahead, though.
Let's talk about it. I mean, going from, love of J-Lo and everything, but I want to know who in her camp told her that doing the tribute, like the Whitney Houston tribute, was a great idea for her. Like, she's very talented. I'm not going to say that she's not. Like, she's very talented, but like, if we look at her strong suits, comparing her to Whitney Houston and her doing the tribute, that is not a good idea. I mean, I saw her try to do Aerosmith Dream On at the New Year's Eve last year or the year before last, and that did not turn out well. So I'm interested to see how this is going to go. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, what are you saying? You're saying vocally she's just gonna butcher it? Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, clearly we know she doesn't have the range for "I Will Always Love You." Like, she just doesn't. But I mean, I'm thinking, I want to dance with somebody. Maybe some of those, earlier hits she could probably get away with that are a lot, more fun and dancey. That's kind of what I'm picturing her doing. I mean, the ballads, I don't know. Maybe she'll have a special guest that comes to take those on, because, I mean, that's hard for a lot of, big hit makers these days.
Yeah, nobody can really, like, Whitney was so special, right?
Right.
And she was so special. And there's very few people who have the range that Whitney Houston does. Mm-hmm. And to be able, like that song, or even like when she does "Saving All My Love for You" and she hits those notes and all, and that, I mean, J-Lo would be great for "It's All Right." It's not right. It's okay. Like, she would be good for that. Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. But like, I think that I think there should be more than just her in the tribute, and I hope
And
that
I
there
mean, there may
is.
be. There may
Can
be.
I
If
say,
people
yeah,
might
can
be
I say,
jumping
I
the
hope,
gun a little bit.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
saying, I hope it got misconstrued. I hope it
Mhm.
was like like it wasn't her saying she wants to do this. Out of context, maybe. Do we know? You know what I mean? Do we know for sure? Because that is a bold thing. Maybe she just stated like, "Oh, I've always loved Whitney Houston. I'd like to do a tribute to her." Like maybe it was just something like that, and then people made it a thing. Or no? Do you think it's more
No.
she literally said, "I want to do it at the Grammys"?
No. She's doing it no matter what. So whether or not she said she wanted to do it, or they went to her and said she was asked her to do it, and she said yes, she's doing it. So that part, I don't know that part, but I know
Yeah.
that whoever runs this tribute, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be on national television,
Yeah.
and she said yes to it. So there's a part of her that agrees with them that she should be doing this.
Well,
Right, even
what
if
was one of the quotes that was said that she feels like that some of the songs they're like the same, something like that she had said that she feels like her and Whitney were kind of like on the same. I wouldn't. Was it level or
Uh-oh,
something?
this is
Not
a
level, but it was something like she,
you heard it here first. This is where the lights start.
No. This is not a fact. This is a rumor. I'm hearing. I'm going off of something I read on social media, and I am not doing
Do
that.
not cancel Kelly.
No, but I'm saying she said something like she felt like their songs were kind of in line with each other. Some of them. That's why I automatically think like the dancier ones that I feel like she could potentially tackle. I mean, unless she's like
gonna give
changing the vocal range on
she's
us.
gonna give the Waiting for Tonight version of Whitney Houston, like at the club. Yeah,
I mean, that's what I was kind of thinking because that would be the only way that their songs could potentially be in the same realm because she doesn't like she has ballads on her albums, but they're just not the same. So
Her
I can't imagine
voice.
she's like,
Oh, Jenny. Oh,
know.
Jenny. Have you stepped in it, Jenny?
I just don't want because people will tune in to see her fail. And
Totally,
that's the
which is
sad.
sad.
That's the
Yeah.
sad part. That I mean, they'll get great ratings, but they're going to tune in not to see her succeed, but to see her
Mhm.
fail. And to me, it makes me very sad.
Yes.
Oh.
No, I agree. Yeah. Because she's a fantastic performer for sure.
Yeah,
And I
100%.
feel like she's self-aware enough to know what her strengths are. So whatever she's planning to do, I mean, I'm sure, at least I'm hoping that it's going to be in line with what her talent is.
I don't know because she tried to do Aerosmith or Dream On, and that was just.
See, I'm gonna stand on Kelly's side that I think hopefully it's a bigger picture.
I hope so too.
And that there's like, more to it, more collaborations, et cetera, where she can still do what she needs to do and honor Whitney in her way. But that it gets because you don't want to make sure the tribute to Whitney, like you can't you can't disrespect Whitney's legacy.
No,
if you don't make it work, and that's she's got that great vocal coach, Steve. What's his name, Steve? So she's gonna put in the work, but there's just a level of what you can and cannot do. Now, here's maybe the hindrance of being such a go-getter like her. And we talked a little bit on this episode about like the, yes, people around you, whether that was the Grammys saying, can you do this? Or you saying, I want to do this. Like Dorinda said, she's still doing it and people will watch just to see her make an error. But it kind of reminds me, you two, of when she did the Motown tribute, which was another one that had people like, and she did it in her way. And it, I feel sometimes I watch Jennifer Lopez, as big of a fan as I am. I watch her and I'm like almost like cringing. Like I hope it doesn't mess up. I hope it goes through. But because she's a badass, she always does push through. But she kind of does it in her own way. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a problem with being too much of a go-getter because you kind of put no. Like the normal person will put the boundary of like, oh, is my vocal ability at par? But then if you're a go-getter that says, this year I'm going to do Hustlers, going to try to win the Oscar. She didn't get nominated, but she wanted to. And then you're going to do the Super Bowl. When you're used to just saying, I'm going to do everything and nothing's going to stop me, you also become the person who would say, I'm going to do Whitney Houston and nothing's going to stop me without checking yourself a little bit. So I love the tenacity. There's a goodness in this story. I love the tenacity of J-Lo. I love that she's like, I love Whitney Houston. We have to honor our, these legends, the people that came up right before I came up. Because there's no doubt that the Janets, the Whitney Houstons inspire Jenny. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt that she's going to do it with love. But sometimes when you don't ever think you can't do anything, her ridiculous body, you know, at 50 something years old, she keeps saying, what? I can't be sexy at 50 something? I'll show you. That's great for tenacity, but that might not be great in honoring Whitney's legacy. Hopefully there's more to the story. Hopefully there's some really great collaborations. Yeah.
I hope so. I really do. I really do. Because I didn't want to bring up the
she
Motown
rearranges
thing,
the songs, then
yeah, I hope so. I really do. I hope she definitely, like you said, rearranges.
Kelly, your microphone went out for a second. Go back again.
Oh no, I was just saying, unless she rearranges like the vocal ranges, I just really don't see how she could tackle some of those big ballads, just because it's just not her strength. But
imagine, I want to run to you, waiting for tonight. Oh, and I'll always love.
I mean, I'm sure there are ways to do it, and to do it like medley.
My voice
like a medley,
terrible.
And whatever. I mean, people get creative with that stuff. So I mean, we'll see.
I can't believe I did.
When are the Grammys? February.
I can't believe I did what I did.
Yeah.
That sounded. That was the worst sound ever to be produced from a microphone ever. Stick to radio, buddy.
Yeah, I don't even think she could do Dolly's version of "I Will Always Love You."
Yeah, that's an option. Yeah,
wow. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Is there anything redeeming about her wanting to pay tribute to Whitney? Can you see that side of it? Like I was saying a little bit.
I can if it's a collaborative thing. I can't.
Who would you suggest?
Her thing.
Who would you suggest to join?
Well, I mean, Kelly Clarkson would be great. Christina Aguilera. We can go in Alita Adams, right?
I mean, Ariana Grande killed them.
Ariana Grande. Even Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, Jennifer Hudson can't do a talk show though. That has been challenging. Just when I thought Drew Barrymore was the most boring, Jennifer Hudson said, "Don't worry, I'll give you something."
No, I just don't. I don't even want to go there because I don't like her show. I've tried. It's like I'd rather stomach Drew Barrymore, and I don't even like her show.
Yeah,
but I know that. Oh God, I sound so negative. I'm so sorry, guys.
Honey, you sound like I did last year.
You and Ronnie are one and the same today.
You know what I said last year? I said, hey, if you ever were like a college student and you had to put a paper together and you needed to like get the rest so you could wake up and be like smart, and your brain woken up, just turn on Drew Barrymore. You'll go right to sleep. Yeah. So Drew Barrymore and Jennifer Hudson, they're good for something. Who I want to throw in?
I love Drew though. I love not her show, but her other stuff. Yeah.
I want to throw into the fold who would be great for the tribute. Heather Headley, I believe, did the Whitney theatrical show in London. And I love Heather Headley, even as an actress. So something in that vein would be wonderful. And that way it's done well, and that's what you should do in a role that you have. J-Lo has access to so much, they're going to come to her. The Grammys are going to work with her. You make sure you bring in the people that make sense. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think we found a way to be critical here, but also like making sure that Whitney gets the proper legacy. And it's another problem that I have. While I'm excited about the movie, I'm just getting a little tired of too many Whitney movies, Whitney documentaries, and too much of showcasing only the downside of her. We got to stop that. We got to too much. She was a queen. Her music was wonderful. And I would like her to be celebrated more than always going back to her darkest moments. Because you know what? If you do that, go to her darkest moments, you're not letting her rest in peace. And that's what we need to do. Damn, this show, we are covering.
That was really good, Ronnie.
Well, you guys, have been helping me grow as a person.
But it is. It's getting tiresome just to always focus on the bad. Let's look at some good stuff. Let's focus on some good stories and what the best part of people's lives are and not the worst. I think that's kind of something that I want to see change a little bit for the new year. Even
setting up to do this episode, year in review, it's like we wanted to stray away from just all of the stuff that was an SHIT, SHOW. We didn't want to. The news has become just that. Twitter has become just that. I had said to myself, what happened when like Twitter used to be funny? Remember, like Twitter used to be the epitome of funny. It was so funny. The humor was like everything connected in that way. And so for this episode, I felt like there was not a lot of stories to choose from. I want to jump to my next one would be how I felt in terms of his work. I never met the man or whatever, but how I felt about Leslie Jordan being 67 years old and he passed away. You know, he fell into everyone's hearts in terms of obviously Will and Grace and a 40-year career and all the stuff, but he fell into everyone's heart during the March 2020, and there was the panorama. You know, he became like something really funny on social media, and I loved it because I get very particular about people being laughed at and you're laughing with. And Leslie Jordan to me was somebody we were laughing with.
Yeah.
A couple other things why I was like really a bit devastated by it. I watched the show Call Me Kat on Fox. Mayim Bialik is one of my favorite people, and so the show is just so good. And it really was sad because I'm watching each and every episode. They're on season 3. Not only does he finally, maybe for the first time, get this much of a popularity because of being on the show, but with that comes money. He just bought his first condo.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
And what really got me, this one got me more than anything, because of course the potential and all that's good too, but the storyline, he was finally, the character Phil on Call Me Kat on Fox was finally dating. And Mayim Bialik said it like this. She goes, as you know, it was hard for us to move on. We'll give him a proper tribute episode, you know, in the new season or whatever the case. But one thing that we can feel comfortable with, and I'm just saying it as I remember it, these aren't the exact words, but it was something along the lines of, we were so lucky and privileged to be with Leslie Jordan for his first on-screen kiss or something of that nature. Like the storyline was Phil met a man and they were dating. And so for me, you know, especially like as a gay male myself, it's like, I don't get to see a 60-something-year-old on television, you know, navigating the storyline. So as much as I was sad for Leslie Jordan, the person, it was also the character was going away. And I'm like, this is my favorite sitcoms. They don't even make sitcoms anymore. So I was heartbroken in that way because of all the potential that I, as a viewer, would get to see. You know, I'm 42 years old. It's like, I want to see, you know, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, you know, gay males on TV, you know, where it's not all sexualized. You know, we have a really big appetite for making our queer community on TV, but they're always in their 30s and it's always everyone's hot. And that's the story. This was a different story. This was a man who evolved. And I've already done a little tribute to, I've already spoke about this, so I'm not as sad. But yeah, I was really crushed. I was really, really crushed. Person you don't even know, but I was really crushed of that role. You know, I didn't want to not see it on my TV. You know,
Yeah, it was a sad day, and I worked with Leslie, and it was to be in a room and watch him work. It was a masterclass, to be honest with you, and how he could take a character and make it his own. So I worked with him on Sordid Lives. I worked with him on Southern Baptist Sissies. And to watch the character of Peanut in Southern Baptist Sissies was just amazing. And he was that character. He was Peanut. Like when he walks into the room, when he walks into the bar and he's sitting with Dale Dickey and she asks what his name is, he goes, "My name is Peanut." Like, and then he goes into it was his story, but just to watch him work. And how he can make you laugh, but he could also make you cry in how he was as a person. And he has a new episode coming out. I don't know when it's coming out. The Property Brothers. And he has an episode coming with. I'm going to get a little probably clumped about what I'm going to talk, but so they did this whole thing of like redoing a house for someone who helped them during their way. And he chose Rosemary and Newell Alexander. And they have known him, 40 years probably. And he did the whole thing for them because Rosemary and Newell, when he was in times of need, helped that man. And he did it to repay the favor of everything that they had done for him. And, you know, Leslie is not a person without his own demons, but he still was a person who made people feel safe, made people feel at home. I mean, I remember when we were in Miami and my best friend from home flew in with her then fiance. They're not together anymore. And his name was Giacomo. And he was from Italy. He lived in Sardinia and came over to see our show. And he was like, "Oh, Giacomo." Like, and he was just like, had a crush on him. And, you know, Giacomo took it and loved it. And he was like, "My new boyfriend." Like, and it was honestly,
Mm-hmm.
he was infectious and he could make fun of himself. And his one-man shows were amazing. And I will miss the man. I
Yeah.
will miss him completely. And it was a hard day for a lot of us because we were friends with him for a very long time, like our friends Travis Howard and stuff like that. So it was hard to see him go. But I just wanted to tell that little story about how just amazing of an actor he was.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely going to be missed. I mean, we lost
Yes.
like a lot of great people this year.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yes.
Bob Saget, James Caan, Angela Lansbury.
Oh, that's gonna be so sad.
Well,
And
and
that's
obviously the Queen.
oh,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
not the queen when I talk about my pop diva queen. I'm like, she's the queen, she's the
No,
queen.
like
No,
the
he's like, no,
actual,
the
actual
queen.
queen, the
Um,
actual queen.
just going back though, and I know I said it once before, but I do really want to make that reiteration that it is so important to me to make sure that the portrayal of the gay men on television are not being laughed at. Too many times it's like it's funny, but it's like, who's it funny for? And I'm a defensive little bastard, right? I loved what Leslie Jordan's characters had done because I felt like we were always in the joke with him. So that was like my last little thing about that. And also I feel like it's really sad to like have your career. It's a 40-year career, so obviously there was success along the way, but where it really starts to blow up, you know, on a more mainstream level, and that creates access, you know, in the new condo and everything, and then to just not get to like live that success, it's just, oh, it's devastating. But it still is powerful, and I think that we, as you know, performers to a degree, even on this show, like we put all that in the work, put that same energy in the work, and maybe you give yourself an opportunity to give something like that to the next generation.
Yeah, or you can look at it in a positive way and go, he finally got what he wanted before it was his time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he finally got the recognition that it's deserved.
Mhm.
And stuff like that. Oh my God. I do have a really funny story, but it's very celebrity-esque, but with him. But I'm just so happy for him. But I will tell you the story. It's very quick. So I know this sounds like a lot of name dropping, but it's just the business we work in. So, right. So when he won the Emmy, remember
Yeah.
when he won an
And
Emmy
Will and
for
Grace.
Will
Yep.
and Grace? It was also
Mhm.
the same year that Jeremy Piven won for Entourage. Right. So I found myself at Jeremy Piven's house randomly, and it was right after he had won the Emmy and everything. And so I was like, "Oh, congratulations on your Emmy." He goes, "Do you want to go down and like hold it or whatever?" And I was like, "No." I said, "That's okay." I said, "I just held my friend's Emmy the other day." He's like, "Who's your friend?" I was like, "Leslie Jordan." And Leslie Jordan to me was like bigger than he was.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
hilarious.
So I figured that's a cute little story.
Yeah. Crazy. Oh, these Hollywood stories. And I don't think that you're name dropping in any regard. And if anyone ever gives you that energy, you have just got to know that this is, you work around these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kelly, as a publicist for 20 something years, I mean, me with these great radio or podcast or television stories, it's like, and you in the world of acting and producing, and gosh, Dorinda's slashes go, you know, through the roof. I would hate for anyone to be like making you feel bad, like, oh, here she goes name dropping. It's like, no, I'm just telling part of my story, my history.
Yeah.
Look at, I'm ready to fight for you. Who wants to fight, Dorinda?
No, it's just so funny because like it just reminded me of something like I don't know if you, Ronnie, if you saw, but Gina, our friend Gina that is on the radio in San Diego, Gina the Latina, she had Jeremy Piven on her radio show recently, and like she went to shake his hand. There's like a video of him coming in the studio, and she went to shake his hand, and he totally like just ditched her, like just dismissed her, and he didn't, and she like makes this face, and it's hilarious, and she's like, you know, and then everybody's like making all these excuses. Well, he had a lot of things in his hand, and maybe COVID, and like all this stuff, and it was just so funny that it was on, like she had posted it on social and it was
Yeah.
such a thing. And I told her, I was like, well, just wait, because I have my own Jeremy Piven story. When I used to work at this high profile place that he used to come to parties at all the time. And he was at this one party and he was kind of like on one. So he came with who was the other one in Entourage that played E? What's his name? Kevin Conley?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kevin Conley is like my arch nemesis for like no reason whatsoever. I've
He's
just
not
kind
a
of
good
like
person.
made this up that I've always just like, oh, he gets on my and it's so unfounded, like it's so ridiculous. But quick background on that. I used to see him around town all the time and he would always like give me these weird looks. And I would always be like, what? And then he would always like pop up places. So it's like he was like wanted to come to this party. And I'm like, he's already on the list. Why is he always giving me shit? And so it just became like this funny inside joke that it's like, I can't stand him. Get away. So anyway, they're at this party together. And we had a photographer kind of like taking pictures for the host of the party. And they're just like private stuff. It was never anything we put out on social or out in press. And he comes over to me and he's just like sweaty and like drunk and like whatever. And he's like, we're just like trying to live our life. And it's just like not cool. And he's like talking to me like this. And I'm just standing there like laughing. And I'm like, don't worry, I got your back. Just smile. These pictures aren't going anywhere. Just tell Kevin to cool it. Like all is good. Don't worry about it. I got you. And he's like, okay, because it's just we just want to chill. And he's just talking so slow. And like the words are just like going on forever. And it just made me think about that. I was like, Gina, I gotta tell you the story. Like, don't worry, because I saw him like all sweaty and like jacked up and like whatever, and it was hilarious. So
Anyone else with topics? Where we want to go next?
I mean,
this is good.
Yeah, no, it's all good stuff. At the end of the day, 2022 was nuts. We've got a lot to look forward to in the new year. And, all the cheating scandals, the whole Adam Levine thing. And, the relationships played a big part in the year, I think. Which is kind of like in the
a little
news
too
cycle.
many cheating scandals. I don't know what that even means. Does that mean we got to open up conversation and dialogue about possibly open relationships? Like, I don't know what this really means because it's just happening too much and it's becoming a thing where you can now have a gotcha moment and kind of ruin someone's career, even though they ruin the marriage. I get that, but it's feeling ugly. Dorinda, what do you think about all that?
That's a whole nother episode.
Well, you're back. I'll wrap it up with saying, let's all do a better job within the pop culture landscape of finding things that are good, and it doesn't mean you have to be corny. It doesn't have to be, what was it? The Krakowski, what's the guy's name? The John, what's his last name? The one who had
John Krasinski.
Krasinski, rather.
Yeah.
A show about good. It doesn't have to be that corny. But why I like Call Me Kat, as I always say, is it's just a fun, good show. I feel like we're getting too easy. Actually, isn't it like against the rule of improv? Like everything goes into the negative right away. We got to stay in the yes and I just don't.
Yes.
I would like to see
yes. You're never supposed to say no.
Yeah, I want the new year to be like challenge yourself to find the good stories because they're there. You just want to be involved in the salacious, the crazy. And when I say you, I don't mean us as like broadcasters or whatever. I'm talking about the person who works at a bank, the person who works at a grocery store. We're getting too excited with salacious stuff. So let's pivot a little bit. Still time to talk shit. Don't you worry. We'll always have room. But challenge yourself.
Try to highlight the good stuff a little more. I'm down with that.
And honestly, even the people I don't like in the pop culture space this year, 2022, I hope that they do good and do better. I hope that everything goes and grows. And I hope that we all have a great year. They say it matters who you're spending your, like kind of like the Christmas and New Year's, who you're spending that time with. So we're here together. So hopefully our 2023 is amazing. I'm done with.
It's going to be. I'm putting it out.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna manifest some good loving too.
Oh yeah, let's give me some of that.
I told you, Ronnie. Oh yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go do lunch. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you, Dorinda, for being our guest.
Happy New Year.
Bye.